But first to a theme that I constantly try to raise here, that sense of trust. As I keep saying, governments don't trust you given the way they treat you. They overregulate you, overtax you. They want to control your lives day in, day out. I mean, who do you actually trust? Have you actually thought about that? Is it the media? Is it everybody in the media, or maybe just us here on Sky? Are our politicians worthy of trust? Well, some are, perhaps more than others, but we have such low expectations. We actually accept and even expect lies from our politicians, from many in the media, and indeed from our churches and our religious leaders. So I think it's absolutely important. It's in fact fundamental that philosophy underpinning the conduct of each of those institutions is really important. Principles like personal responsibility need to be, in fact, something that we need to ask of our politicians. Why is it that politicians want to tell us what to think, how to act, and what our relations are with other people? There are just too many pollies in Australia in all the three levels of government. It's the way it's evolved, the way in which we brought a bit of Britain and a bit of the United States to the task of Australia when we created our constitution, well, the Brits did anyway, for us over a century ago. But we have too much red tape, too much process, too much control of our everyday lives, and yet it seems so many of us have come to like it, come to expect it, come to know that no matter whether you wanted to do something, you know that there's a process to go through, there's a form to fill in, a fee that you have to pay, and a wait until somebody, some faceless bureaucrat who you can't even find out their name because of privacy laws, is going to make a decision that could make or break you, your family, your business, your community. Now, this coronavirus created a perfect storm for those who like to create that sense of control about our lives. Today, we found out that the border between Queensland and New South Wales, now remember that Australia was created not through war but through peace, to actually bring all of the disparate colonies of this enormous island nation of ours together, to deal with things such as trade between the states, the free movement of the states, the great edifices of border control a century or more ago, where customs tariffs were charged at each border as people moved from one side of the Murray River to the other, or maybe from one side of Griffith Street, Coolangatta to the other. Those sorts of things went, we thought. Coronavirus came along and we decided to start erecting borders within our nation, again, to stop people moving from one place to the other. Now, we accepted that to flatten the curve, to try and make sure our health services could cope with what people told us back in March, back in February, was going to be the consequences of this coronavirus. We saw what happened in China through January and into February. We saw how things then spiralled out of control in Italy and in other parts of the world. And we thought we won't want that to happen here in Australia. But today, the Queensland Premier has announced there will be an unlocking of the Queensland border from the 1st of November, the day after the Halloween state election. The state election of Queensland is held on the 31st of October. But wait for it, you've still got to fill in a form. If you want to come from New South Wales to Queensland, you have to tell the bureaucrats what you're coming here for, who you're coming to see, who you're coming to stay with. It seems, though, people are still wanting to give thanks for the little liberties, the freedoms. We're now being told that you can have 40 people dancing on a dance floor at a wedding in coming weeks. 40 people. People in Queensland tonight can stand up at a bar and order a drink. They don't have to sit down. Social distancing, of course, should continue to be practiced. But aren't you grateful that our leaders, our state leaders, have decided that they're going to give us these little personal liberties, things that we took for granted? Now, there's been plenty of evidence to suggest that we're absolutely lied to about elements of this virus, the extent of the pain that we were likely to be suffering. There was meant to be, by this time of year, 150,000 people dead from this. That was what we were being told here in Australia. Of course, there's been a little over 1,000, and every one of them is a life that was sorely, sorely lost to each of the family members. In Victoria, over 800 people. And most of them are in aged care homes as a result of things getting out of control by the incompetence of the Victorian state government. So the thing I say to you tonight is this. Government doesn't trust you. and the controls that we've seen in place over the last 6 months, if we accept them, and there's elections coming in New Zealand, there's elections coming in Queensland, there's elections coming in the ACT, and there's elections coming in Western Australia later on next year. If we see what has been done to us as acceptable, then that'll be a precedent for next time, next virus, next flu season, next time someone thinks that we should be shut down and controlled and told what we can and can't have. We're being told by some of the media it's a new normal. We should just get used to it. But what we really need are new fundamentals. But this ship of state is huge. It's enormous. It's cumbersome. It's all self-absorbed. The people on board, the bolt tighteners, the people driving this ship of state all worry about themselves first and foremost, and maybe you can get on board, or maybe you can't. I say to you that more than ever, we need a sense of trust. We need to demand trust from our key institutes, our key institutions in our society. That includes the media, includes our churches, includes our politicians. There is no doubt about that, because we just haven't seen enough of it yet. Keen to know what you think. Hashtag Hardgrave. You can also email me directly, gary.hardgrave@skynews.com.au.